Hi, welcome. Today, I would like to talk about what's happening in the HDB market right now. And I've done some preparation of slides and everything. It's been a while since I do such videos, so it's very tiring to prepare this kind of video because there's a lot of slides I need to prepare, data I need to pull out, copy and paste. I'm not a person very good at doing slides. So if you like what you see at the end of the video, please help to do a like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And without further ado, I just want to keep everyone updated about what's happening in the HDB market and what am I sensing on the ground. And a lot of teammates are reflecting the same thing with me as well. I shall call this video, the party is over. Okay, there's a reason why I say that. But let's get on with it. HDB market 2025. My slide is very boring one because I really got no time to put all the effects and everything. So just read the text. Things that all the HDB owners must know what's happening in the current market. Now, if we do notice, right, this is the whole of a HDB price index starting from Q1 of 1994 all the way until now. Of course, if you see that from 2020 until now, the growth is actually pretty scary, right? The government, I think they are also very aware of what's happening, and this cannot be ongoing forever. If you are noticing that towards the Q2, Q3 of this year, we are seeing that the price growth is already stabilizing, it's already flattening. So if I zoom in, right, probably this image you can't really see, but if you zoom in, we do see that the roller coaster is coming to the peak already, right? More or less to the peak already, right? So what will happen next is really anyone guess? Do you think it will go higher up? Do you think it will go straight line, or do you think it will drop, right? Is anyone guess? So we do see that there is still some performing flats happening. There's still a lot of a record $1 million HDB happening in Singapore. On all these news, right, will create a false impression to a lot of homeowners thinking that, well, there's still a lot of record-breaking HDB happening, and then people are still buying. There's a lot of a landed downgrader going to buy my house. I'm going to sell to someone that is flooded with money. I'm going to sell my HDB at a very, very high price. I'm sorry to say, but probably this kind of expectations, it's getting, the chances of it happening is getting lower and lower. Okay. Now, we do see that there is already some estates as triggering a drop in terms of their growth. Right, of course, you see some of the volume that is very less one, like for example, the Marine Parade, maybe the numbers may not be so accurate because they are using a very low volume. But if you see some of the numbers that is more than 200, 500, I would say that these numbers are pretty accurate because there's a lot more data point that we are referring to. Okay, so we do see that some of the estates, they are already triggering or tracking negative growth. Negative growth means drop price already. Simpler terms, layman, we just say drop price already. Now, will we see a repeat of what's happening in 2013 to 2020, right? If you know what happened in 2013, government implemented a series of cooling measures from 2010 leading up to 2013, right? For a start, government, they released a lot of HDB supply into the market. So this article was put out in 2011, October, right? 2011, government planned to build 100,000 flats to meet demand, right? This is a HDB over the next 5 years to meet demand and stabilize prices. This is by then Minister Khaw Boon Wan, right? Mr. Fix It, right? I like this minister. So, of course, you know what happened next. People who bought in the high price, high market of 2011 to 2013, they suffer quite a bit because when they want to sell, a lot of them, they realize that they are facing a negative sale, or they're not so happy. Of course, you'll not be happy, right? You buy a high price, and then when your time to MOP, you want to sell, you realize that maybe you buy 700,000. When you try to sell, you can only sell for 650,000. The feeling is not good, but it is what it is. So people who bought in the 2011 to 2013, and then when they try to sell during the 2015 to 2020 period, they will feel not happy, right? So of course, you know what happened next? The COVID situation happened. no, sorry. You know what happened now? Definitely, very recently, also back in March 2023, they announced that 100,000 flats will be ready by 2025. Right, same thing, the keyword 100,000, 100,000. So the government, it's flooding the market with a lot of supply. They cannot introduce new cooling measures by tightening. They can only work on the supply side, which is by pumping out more new supply, more new flats into the market, so that it can pull away from the resale market, so that some of the buyers may shift their attention from the resale market towards the BTO. So this is what's happening in the market. And we do see some kind of similarity that's happening in this market situation as well. Of course, I go about and move on to look at some of the older flats as well as the newer flats. So I track this something from 2022 quarter 2 to 2025 quarter 3. Just focus on the red line. The red line is the newer flats, 1995 and newer, as well as the older flats, the blue color line, right, 1995 and older. We do see that the price growth in terms of absolute terms and in terms of percentage, right? The older flats are getting less and less favorable. Nowadays, the buyers are quite savvy. Even the new citizens, even the new PRs, when they come into the resale market to buy property, immediately they ask what is the age, what is the build year of that particular flat, because decaying lease has been plastering all over the internet. Decaying lease has been an ongoing topic for many, many years. But the reason why it is somewhat off the mind of people is because COVID pushes the HDB prices up. And a lot of times people tend to just forget that, there's this decaying lease problem ongoing, right? So you can see that the blue color volume, right, is also much lesser as compared to the red color bar. Does it mean that nobody in the older flat is selling? Not true. Actually, if you go and see the Property Guru, a lot of listings, some of these flats are actually put on the market for a longer time. In overseas market, there's this tracking number called the days on market, but in Singapore context, I can't seem to find these statistics. So the number of days on the market will be determined by the demand volume that's coming in from the buyers. Of course, you do not want to put a listing in the market and then it takes 3 to 6 months to sell. That means the property is not so desirable, right? Some of the newer flats that we take up to sell, sometimes within 2 weeks, 1 month, is sold already. But some of the older flats, it requires more effort. It requires more pushing, right? For people to accept, for people to come in and buy. And more often than not, if the interior condition of the house is not as desirable, we will have to compromise in terms of the final selling price. So that is what's happening in the older resale flat. So blue color line, you can see the volume. Yes, it does increase from 2022 to 2025. The volume is actually lesser compared to the newer flats, right? And as well as the absolute growth, as well as the percentage growth, right? Of course, at any point of time, you can feel free to reach out to me if you want to get some of these stats, get some of this data. More than happy to share this with you. All these materials, data is pulled out from the main websites like HDB, Property Guru, and our company internal app that track all these data points very accurately, right? Next up, I further split into the 1995 to 2005 to 2005 and newer. Of course, 2005 and newer will be less than 20 years old, right? So you can see that in terms of percentage terms, it seems like even the newer flats are 205 and newer, the red color line one, it still perform marginally better compared to the slightly older one. Not that old, 1995 to 2005. Some people still able to accept this range. But if you look at the volume as well as the absolute quantum, the red color line still outperform the blue one, right? The red color one plus 142 per square feet on the average. Volume-wise, sorry, there's a typo error, 31,390. Compared to the blue color one, the volume is 25,545, right? So some people will say, argue with me, say, hey, no lah, I think because the newer flat, everybody rush to sell and all that. It's not true, because actually I do come across a lot of this new profile of people, which I call the empty nester. Empty nester meaning to say those people that they're already, their children grow up, have their own home. They are probably living in a 4-room, 5-room or bigger. They want to downsize to cash out the difference. And there's actually a lot of such flats, older flats, that's put in the market to sell. But fact of the matter is that a lot of young buyers, a lot of new buyers, a lot of first-timer buyers, when they come into the resale market, right? First thing first, they will look for slightly newer flats. That's a given, all right? If you talk to any new families, if you talk to any new buyers, their choice progress, that means they when they start to buy a house, right, consider to buy a house, right, they would first thing first look at the newer flats first. Nobody will start a house search by looking at old flats first, unless they're telling me that I want that specific block to stay near my parents, or I want to because of my budget issue, I can only afford the older flat, right? Nobody in the right mind, or no, generally speaking, majority of the people will want to go and buy new flat first. So we do see that the newer flats tend to have a better volume, better growth as compared to the older flats. So today, if let's say you're a homeowner who is holding on to an older flats, especially more than 30 years, and you are trying to sell in today's market, I can only tell you that you will really need a good agent like me. You really need someone to help you facilitate, because I can share with you that on the ground, in our agent group chat, we are really blasting a lot of HDB messages out, because during the COVID time, nobody used the agent internal group chat to blast listings, because there's no need to. You just put on Guru, the inquiries will come in. But in recent months, a lot of agents are really relying on using internal agent group chat to blast listings to one another, to push the listing to expose it to more people. And even that, some of the even older listings, they are finding hard to secure buyers, right? So this chart I already show you that the newer counterparts tend to perform better compared to the older counterparts, right? Currently, if you look at Property Guru now, you search 5-room. The reason why you want to use 5-room, right? Because now if you see that the so-called private downgraders, right, the only people that is excluded from the 15-month wait out period, right, is those that are both citizens, both above 55 years old, and they can only buy 4-room and smaller, right? So I do see that some of these 4-room, they are moving quite fast, especially the newer ones. But some of the older 5-room flats, right, they are a bit neither here nor there. Then they are caught in a somewhat awkward position, because you are only relying on one source of upgraders, which is from the 3-4-room existing resale flat, they upgrade to a 5-room. But if let's say some of the estate, the 5-room and the EA, right, the price difference is not too far apart, then some of them, they will just say, yeah, I might as well, I want to upgrade already, I just upgrade straight to an EA or EM, executive apartment or executive maisonette. So 5-room is a bit neither here nor there. So I feel that this 5-room, I want to use this video to bring about attention, is that for homeowners who are holding old 5-room flat, it is very tricky at this moment of time. I do hope that the 15 months wait out period can quickly be removed, right? Because they are saying that this is supposed to be a temporary measure. I do see that price index has already been stabilized, and probably the government still wants to monitor 1 or 2 more quarters of stabilized growth before they take action to remove the 15 months wait out period. I'm not sure, because when it happened, nobody has an idea, but it is what it is. You see, Japanese 297 listings for 5-room flat. Punggol 267. Sengkang 327. Boon Lay, Jurong, Tuas, big estate, of course, 361 listings. This is just based on 5-room, not all the listings are just 5-room flats. So can you imagine if today you want to look at all the 5-room in Sengkang? Wow, you have to watch. I mean, you have to be very competitive. I mean, nobody will go and view all 327 units before they make a decision, right? Probably they will select by the cheapest, the newest, the closest to the LRT bus stop or MRT station. Then they make a selection from there. Probably they view like at most 20, 25, good enough already. Okay, I make a decision. I just want to buy whatever that is best available option at that moment of time. So I do see that it will get more and more competitive, as more units will be putting up for sale. So yeah, it is what it is. But of course, some people will say, hey, no lah, my 5-room is still moving fast and all this. Yes, if you are located in a low supply area, like for example, I do see, I don't want to use Bukit Timah because Bukit Timah, anyway, it's very low supply. So there's only, I think the Toei estate, that side, there's very little supply of 5 room that's selling. But if you look at Toa Payoh, which is not a small estate also, you can see that only 105 listings are over there. Bedok as well, not exactly small, right? They also have a 124 listings over there. So some of the more centrally located HDB estate, the 5 room performance is still relatively okay-ish, right? I will use the word okay because I'm not saying that it's easy to sell over there. It does have its own challenges, but I do see that there is a lesser number of listings on these estates, which probably means that the houses over here get sold faster as well, right? Now, the short waiting time HDB, right, is seldom talked about, but this is a very serious issue, especially today if you're a resale homeowner looking at to sell your unit right now in the market. This is your major competition. Apart from your neighbors who is also putting up for sale at the moment, the HDB is releasing shorter waiting time period, right, for homeowners to buy, right? 3,300 with shorter waiting time of less than 3 years being offered up for the 2025 BTO exercise. Now, let me run through a scenario. Today, you have 4 room. This one I'm talking about 4 room because I use a 4 room to give you an illustration. The average median price transacted over at Sengkang, the 4 room, is 650,000. Now I go and find the cheapest property guru, whole unit, not the room rental, whole unit, cheapest guru I can find 2009, 4 room flat in Sengkang is 2009. I go and rent 3 years, right? My cost is only 104,000, right? Okay, let's say I cannot stand the cheapest one, maybe it's too old, maybe too far from MRT. I go and find the most expensive one, currently in Sengkang is also listing at 4,000. I go and rent 4,000 for 3 years. My total rental cost is 144,000, right? If I go for something like Sengkang, right, I go and estimated price range, I go for the most expensive one, 420,000, right? 4 room flat, you can see over here, 420,000, right? My total cost, if I want to go for 5 room, sorry, if I want to go for the shorter waiting time, I use the full 3 years, maybe plus 1-2 months for renovation, moving, and all this kind of thing. My total cost will be 564K for buying a short waiting time period home, plus paying a rental of 144,000. Of course, some people argue with me like, nobody will want to waste this money or this kind of thing. But your effective buy price is still cheaper than buying a 650,000 old flat happening in Sengkang, right? Of course, does it worthwhile to pay and all that? You make your own decision. But if let's say a person don't mind waiting or don't mind renting, this could be a more worthwhile option for them to consider. Of course, some people say, hey, you haven't account for agent cost, moving costs. What if I rent already, my landlord very nasty, go and deduct my full security deposit? Okay, I just round up everything, 100,000, 100,000 for your moving cost, agent com, your deposit. Anyway, it's a very far-fetched figure. I just round it up because I want to get very near to the figure of 650,000. I am still, how to say, if all in, my cost is 664,000. Extra 14K, right? I get a brand new flat, right? I think it's still more worthwhile to pursue the short waiting time. Don't you think so? I mean, this is how I look at it, purely from a numbers point of view, right? So coming to the end of the video, I want to keep this short also. Sometimes I can be very long-winded. So what to expect in the future, right? What will happen next? If let's say you are today a resale homeowner, HDB, I'm talking, this video is totally about HDB and not talking about private condo. If today you are resale HDB owners selling your flat, please check carefully all the future BTO launches. This will pull away your resale demand, especially those that are offering with the short waiting time flats. And if your estate nearby, there is a huge BTO or EC, that's key collection, right? It will affect you as well because there will be more homeowners putting up their homes for sale. It happened to me in experience when Soul Acres in Choa Chu Kang, right, was taking key, right? Nearby estate, we saw there is actually an uptick of supply in the selling of their homes because some of these people are second time homeowners. People from Bukit Batok, Jurong, Bukit Panjang, they probably also bought this EC and then they have to sell their home when they collect keys. So all these are resulting in a higher resale supply in the market as well. So do look out if let's say you do have potential new homes, new BTO or new EC that people are collecting keys. Some of your neighbors, you will know, some of your neighbors actually, they have to put up their home for sale, and this become your competition in the market as well. There will be some stubborn people that refuse to acknowledge data, refuse to see the obvious. They will say that no lah, my HDB price will forever go up. Sure, no problem. I have no way to convince you otherwise. But what I can share with you is that the 201 to 2020 cohort of homeowners, right, will tell you from their own experience what is called negative sale, what is called the fate of the bitterness of selling a lower price compared to the price that you bought, right? The government is always motivated to keep prices affordable. This is something that we must not forget. And the ruling party, the Lightning Party, cannot afford to lose more seats in the parliament, right? If not, the Hammer gang will, use housing prices to keep on bashing them. So the Lightning Party has to make sure that all the new measures, all the things that they are doing, they want to keep everyone happy lah. But at the same time, there is a group of retirees. They are also using their home as a means to right size and cash out. So I do not foresee there will be a market major correction like what we are seeing in 2023. My sensing is that the government wants to make it a tapered down kind of drop. That means to say the drop is not going to be like a roller coaster drop straight down. It may be a gradual drop. It may be, we will know, right? But my sensing is that it's going to be a stabilized kind of market that we are going to be foreseeing for the next few years, right? So this is what I am guessing. Home prices is likely to remain flatline and stable, right? The party, that's why in the beginning of the video I say, the party is over. The COVID party 2020 to 2025 is officially over. If you're expecting that your HDB resale price growth still go up endlessly, crazily, I'm so sorry to tell you, in the ground, we are already experiencing that a lot of demand is actually no longer there, right? Don't be the last person that's still hanging around in the party when everybody is still drunk, right? Be the first one to get sober and get home safe, right? So if you're aiming for your next private upgrade, if you're an upgrader, you're a person in your prime age, you still have strong earning power, you want to make use of this chance, this is probably your last few window of opportunity in terms of your market, right? To sell at the HDB peak and get onto the private market, right? But of course, we always advocate to do up your financial calculation properly, right? Talk to a qualified professional, someone like me, right? To make sure that you are going in safe, you know what exactly you are doing. I have a very strong framework to calculate your cash on hand, calculate your loan, calculate everything. Make sure we do the proper planning first before the execution. That is the strong point that I would always like to deliver, right? And the selection of your next property is as important as when you time your exit of your current property. Because talking about, I don't want to keep this video long, but talking about choosing private property, there is a skill set, there is a art and science involved as well. So yeah, the selection of your next purchase is as important as when you time to sell your current property. Okay. Parting words and advice, if you're aiming for your next HDB upgrade, this one I said before already. Yeah, so sorry, I do up this slide. I'm trying to rush through. If you want to sell your flat for various reasons, please check carefully. You may or may not be too late already, depending on which estate you are staying. Right, check carefully your immediate supply and demand situation. The pricing strategy is very, very critical now as compared to 1-2 years ago. 1-2 years ago, yeah, just you can try to be hero, you want to hit record price, you want to sell higher than your neighbor. Probably the party is still ongoing, you can do that. But now is no longer the time to be hero and aim for record prices. For example, just to give you a range, like for example, if you plot your HDB as the center point within 1 kilometer, all your 5-room flat is trading between 550,000 to 700,000. there is very, very slim chance that you can sell it at 720, 750, unless you're talking about your top floor, unblocked view, exceptional case. That one I don't want to comment, but of course, if you're talking about your HDB flat is just average. I think if you can hit the top 30% down, that means to say the range is 550,000 to 700,000 K. Maybe you can hit 650 to 700,000, that range. Take and go already. Don't wait. That's my advice. Of course, if you need a more accurate assessment, do always feel free to reach out to me. More than happy to share my advice, right? And always check what's happening in your surrounding, right? In your estate, how many units are put up for sale, immediate competition, who are they, how much are they priced at? Your very same block, for example, your block is block 123, yours is on the 6th floor, somebody selling on 8th floor, the 8th floor one nicer condition than you, yet selling cheaper than yours. Then it doesn't make sense for your 6th floor one, your condition also good, yet you want to sell higher than the 8th floor. Not possible, right? So check your competition nearby, check how long have this unit has been in the market, right? The CMA, we call the comparative market analysis. Do it properly, engage a professional like myself, engage a professional to guide you properly so that you can price your HDB right and make sure that you can exit smoothly as well. And importantly, look at the big picture. Don't because of 2,000, you miss the bigger opportunity out there. Okay. Any more? Yeah, no more slide already. Okay, so that's all. Thank you very much. Goodbye.